This is Highway 1. 655 miles of asphalt clinging to the California coast. Right now, a section of it doesn't exist. In January 2024, another atmospheric river slammed into Big Sur. Within hours, thousands of tons of mountainside collapsed onto the highway, burying the road under debris and severing the most iconic coastal drive in America. Caltrans estimates it will take months to rebuild. Cost: tens of millions of dollars. This isn't new. It's happened before, and it will happen again. This is the story of America's most beautiful highway, and the geology that's slowly destroying it. Highway 1 runs from Orange County to Northern California, hugging the coastline for most of its length. But the section everyone knows is Big Sur. 90 miles of road, carved into cliffs, where the Santa Lucia Mountains drop straight into the Pacific Ocean. No gradual slopes, no wide beaches, just rock faces rising 1,000 feet on one side and falling hundreds of feet on the other. The rock here is called the Franciscan Complex, a chaotic mix of sedimentary layers scraped off the ocean floor and jammed against the continent millions of years ago. It's fractured, weak, and in some places contains serpentinite, a rock that literally crumbles when it gets wet. In the early 1900s, California had a connectivity problem. Coastal communities between San Francisco and Los Angeles were isolated. Engineers considered two options: an inland route through the Salinas Valley that would be safe but longer, or a coastal route that would require blasting through cliffs and bridging canyons. California chose the coast. Tourism was growing, and a dramatic coastal highway would attract visitors and development. Construction began in 1919 using convict labor from prisons. The convict work program had been used on other state highways, but Highway 1 presented challenges no other project had faced. Crews worked suspended on ropes while drilling blast holes into sheer rock faces. Dynamite would fracture the cliff, and workers would clear debris by hand. Progress was measured in feet per day, not miles. The work was dangerous, and several men died in falls and blasting accidents. The engineering centerpiece was Bixby Creek Bridge, completed in 1932. The concrete arch spans 260 feet and sits 280 feet above the creek bed. At the time, it was one of the tallest single-span bridges in the world. Between 1919 and 1937, workers carved 18 years' worth of roadway into unstable mountainsides. Landslides occurred during construction. Engineers documented them and kept building. On June 27, 1937, California officially opened Highway 1 through Big Sur. The celebration included speeches about conquering nature and connecting the coast. What they didn't mention was that maintenance crews had already started repairing slide damage on sections completed just months earlier. Highway engineers knew the geology was unstable. Survey reports recommended avoiding certain sections entirely. But avoiding those sections would have meant building the highway inland or not building it at all. The economic and political pressure overrode the geological concerns. The assumption was that engineering could manage the slide risk. Drainage systems would channel water away. Retaining walls would hold back unstable slopes. Regular maintenance would address small slides before they became large ones. That assumption lasted about 10 years before the first major slide required complete reconstruction of a highway section. After World War II, car ownership exploded, and Americans started taking road trips. Highway 1 became a destination. Motels, restaurants, and viewpoints opened along the route. Tourism revenue grew into millions annually. In 1964, California officially designated the coastal route as Highway 1, creating a continuous numbered highway from Southern California to Northern California. The designation brought federal highway funding for maintenance and repairs. By the 1970s, Highway 1 through Big Sur was carrying thousands of vehicles daily during peak summer months. The economic dependence was complete. Businesses, property values, and local government revenues all relied on the highway staying open. But the geology hadn't changed, and the slides were about to get much worse. The 1983 El Niño brought California's wettest winter on record. Multiple sections washed out simultaneously. Repairs cost millions. 15 years later, the 1998 El Niño hit harder. At Rat Creek, a slide took out more than 100 feet of road surface, but 2017 changed the scale entirely. On May 20th, the hillside at Mud Creek let go. 5 million cubic yards of debris came down in a single slide. The slide buried the highway under 40 feet of rubble and pushed the coastline 250 feet into the Pacific Ocean, creating new land that didn't exist before. Caltrans closed Highway 1 for 14 months. The cost? $54 million. The highway reopened in July 2018. Everyone knew it was temporary. Between 2021 and 2023, atmospheric rivers hit California repeatedly. Closures started overlapping. Sections would reopen just in time to close again from new storms. Caltrans uses every tool available to keep Highway 1 open. Retaining walls anchor unstable slopes. Drainage systems channel water away from vulnerable sections. Rock netting and steel bolts hold fractured cliffs together. Sensors monitor ground movement 24 hours a day, measuring shifts down to millimeters. None of it stops the slides. It just buys time. Since 2000, California has spent an estimated $500 million just repairing Highway 1 in Big Sur. Each major slide costs $30 to $50 million to repair and takes 6 to 18 months. Major closures happen every 2 to 5 years on average. The problem is simple. You can't stop rain. California's atmospheric rivers are intensifying with climate change, bringing more water in shorter periods. The geology won't stabilize because serpentinite breaks down chemically when exposed to water. It turns to clay. The cliffs aren't just sliding, they're decomposing. Caltrans can't move the road inland because that would bypass Big Sur entirely, destroying the tourism economy that depends on coastal access. They can't abandon it because the political cost is too high. So they keep rebuilding the same sections, knowing each repair is temporary. Even the best engineering has limits. Retaining walls crack under pressure from waterlogged soil. Drainage systems get overwhelmed during peak storms. Rock bolts hold fractured stone together until the entire mass shifts at once. The sensors detect movement and trigger closures, but they can't prevent the slides. Approximately 1,000 people live in Big Sur year-round. When Highway 1 closes, their 30-minute drive to Monterey becomes 3 hours via inland routes. Local businesses depend almost entirely on tourism. When the highway closes, revenue stops immediately. During the 14-month closure in 2017 to 2018, many businesses didn't survive. Medical emergencies become helicopter evacuations. Supply deliveries happen by boat or small aircraft. Residents stockpile essentials because they never know when the next closure will hit. Caltrans launched a $500 million resilience program. The goal is to build stronger, not just rebuild what failed. They're raising road elevation in the most vulnerable sections, so slides pass underneath instead of burying the highway. They're installing advanced drainage systems to redirect water before it saturates the slopes. They're replacing older bridges with designs that can handle ground movement without collapsing. The work is sophisticated and expensive, and it helps. Roads reopen faster after slides. Some vulnerable sections have stayed stable longer than expected, but none of it is permanent. The geology doesn't care about engineering improvements. The rock will continue crumbling. The rain will keep coming. Caltrans isn't building solutions, they're buying time. There are other options. Reroute inland. Cost: over $2 billion, and it would kill Big Sur's tourism economy overnight. Politically impossible. Tunnel through the mountains like Norway? Tens of billions of dollars and decades of environmental studies. Make it seasonal? Close during winter storm season. This would devastate local economies that depend on year-round tourism. So California keeps doing exactly what it's been doing. Rebuild after every slide. Spend millions each time. Accept closures as inevitable. Not because it's the best option, but because it's the only one that's politically feasible. Highway 1 generates over $1 billion annually in tourism revenue. The stretch through Big Sur alone brings in 3 million visitors per year. Every closure costs the local economy $10 to $15 million per month. But the closures don't reduce demand. If anything, they increase it. When the road reopens, tourism surges. People want to drive it before the next closure. The cycle feeds itself. This creates a paradox California can't escape. The more popular Highway 1 becomes, the more pressure to keep it open. The more money spent keeping it open, the more expensive each closure becomes. No California governor will abandon Highway 1. The political cost is too high. The tourism industry employs too many people. And the federal government continues providing disaster relief funding, which removes financial pressure to find permanent solutions. The calculations that justified this approach assumed stable weather patterns. Atmospheric rivers were rare events. Major slides happened every decade or two. Those assumptions no longer hold. Climate models predict more intense precipitation and more frequent extreme weather. What used to be a once-in-20-year storm might become once in 5 years. The pattern isn't improving, it's accelerating. Highway 1 survived 80 years with occasional closures and manageable repairs. The last decade has seen more damage than the previous 4 decades combined. As of early 2025, Highway 1 faces new closures from recent atmospheric rivers. Rocky Creek Bridge area suffered significant damage in January. Repairs will extend into 2026. Cost: over $30 million and climbing. Every closure comes with an estimated reopening date. Those dates get pushed back regularly. Each project takes longer and costs more than estimated. Highway 1 will keep closing. California will keep rebuilding. The cycle continues until either the money runs out or the state admits what the geology has been saying all along. Some roads win against nature. This one just keeps fighting.